لوطة بس
beautiful.
مليان صوت مظبوط هيك.
My voice is. You know what? You guys do it. Do you want to say it?
Be serious, be serious.
Yeah, serious. What? Come on, we're meant to be starting. Come on. Please be seated. Starting soon. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a very unique event today. This is a time where we use COP in a way where COP is needed. This is a time where we're going to challenge a bit the standard of the world, the standard of how trading happens, and the time to push the global agenda a bit further towards the right thing. If we look into recycling around the world, we're not there yet. We're actually very far. So we're going to start an initiative today with actually a nice surprise of an actual transaction. And we're going to try and defy a little bit how it's actually really done. We will name it the Voluntary Recycling Credit. And for that, we first prepared a small video to introduce the topic. So if we can please show that.
Recycled or repurposed end up in landfills instead, generating up to 20% of our global methane emissions and other forms of pollution. To turn the tide on the waste challenge, we need a standardized approach which empowers organizations across the world. Introducing the first ever global standard to incentivize multi-material recycling. Developed in collaboration between Beeah, the International Solid Waste Association, ISWA, Roland Berger, and the DFINITY Foundation. The Voluntary Recycling Credits, VRC, relies on a blockchain-based platform, which rewards and recognizes organizations that contribute to a zero-waste planet. On the VRC platform, committed institutions claim recycling credits in exchange for additional recycling effort. These credits can be then used by organizations to compensate for products' pollution. Welcome to the Voluntary Recycling Credits Initiative, a market-driven incentive scheme which promotes circularity, reduces pollution, and mobilizes organizations across sectors to shape the circular economy for a net zero world.
Perfect. And now we want to join me in welcoming the first member and the core member from ISWA, the President, Carlos.
Thank you, Hani. Thank you, Hani. Thank you, everybody. It's my great, great pleasure to be here today with a follow-up result from what we announced late May in Paris this year when we attended INC3. We had this the happiness to, since the inception, be a supporter of this initiative, because we are living a waste crisis. we are living in a world of increased waste, and we are living in a world where waste is still mismanaged. So from ISWA, we truly believe that any initiative that can tackle this problem must be supported. And this one is even more special because it creates the opportunity to not consider materials as waste, but to consider materials as resource, to really change the perspective. And this is something that we really believe is fundamental. Beyond that, it also creates the opportunity for new entrepreneurs to enter this market, to improve the recovery of products. And it also has the social point when we can have also the informal sector participating at this international platform. I must recognize here, we have representatives, for example, from Brazilian waste pickers. My friend Severino Lima is here from the International Alliance of Waste Pickers, and it's a huge opportunity. We have Gianni Manetti, CEO from Pragma, who also runs programs in Brazil supporting waste pickers. We have Horizon Group, the CEO of Horizon Group, one of the major Brazilian companies with the largest sorting facility in Brazil, is also here, and many others from the world. So it's something we truly believe. We only be able to do it through partnership and collaboration. So I thank very much our partners from Beeah. We have here the CEO from Beeah together with us. Our gratitude, Beeah is like a partner and supporter from this agenda, from the Waste and Resources Pavilion. Thank you very much. We have Roland Berger here. We have DFINITY here. So we can only make it through partnership. And I'm very, very happy to be one of the partners to make it happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next on stage, if I may invite His Excellency Khalid Al-Hraimel from Beeah.
This should be working. Good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to be here with you today. Thank you for being here on this occasion as we demonstrate our latest innovation, the voluntary recycling credits. The VRC platform has been several months in the making, along with our partners, International Solid Waste Association, Roland Berger, and DFINITY Foundation. The VRC platform was conceptualized and developed to address one of the core challenges, the challenges of keeping waste out of the environment globally. Nearly half of the waste produced worldwide ends in landfill, instead of being reused, recycled, and introduced into the circular economy. Data shows that by moving to a circular economy model globally, we can reduce emissions by at least 40% by 2050. As you know, when it comes to greenhouse gas emissions within the waste sector, landfills contribute 60% of those emissions. Beeah, as the Middle East pioneer in waste management, has been working for the last 15 years to its targets to zero waste. We've already achieved a diversion rate of 90% in the Emirate of Sharjah, which is the highest diversion rate in the Middle East. We have 12 different facilities, including the first waste-to-energy facility here in the Middle East. Also today, we announced a new breakthrough with partners from the UK and Japan, which is the first, I would call, super green waste-to-hydrogen project producing commercially viable hydrogen that is carbon negative. So today we are excited to demonstrate how this platform works to all of you. We believe this platform is a key solution to mobilizing organizations across sectors to take collective action. Thank you once again for being here, and we look forward to organizations across the world adopting the VRC platform to shape a circular economy for a net zero world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for always pushing us to be innovative. I know how important innovation is for Beeah. So let's say a few words about the VRC. Let's introduce it a little bit. We start by saying why. Why are we even looking into the recycling? So if you see those figures here, you see that we are talking about 2 billion tons of municipal waste globally, out of which almost half are being addressed today and half is lost. This is a lost opportunity for industries, for health, for a lot of the aspects. This is something we cannot afford going forward. Now, when we look into 2050 and we look into ambitious targets on achieving waste to zero, if we look into the normal growth also of the population, we talk about a minimum of 3.4 million. So imagine that today we do not have the right assets to handle that. And now what will happen when we grow this much waste? We need to be ready. We need to have 4 times at least the capacity that we have today. Now, you've been hearing about it all along. What is the impact, the negative impact of waste when it's not addressed? We all know the positive impact is resources. But when it's not addressed, what are we actually doing? So first, more than 50% we said is going to the landfill. That's lost material. More than 80% also on the wastewater is gone. We're not addressing it and polluting the world with it. We're talking about the food. So 1.3 billion tons of food waste going. More than 20 material, you know that beautiful chemical periodic table that we learn when you are in high school. More than 20 of those material are threatened to no longer exist in our lifetime. I don't know about you, but I can just imagine the ripple effect of having some material of those disappearing from our world. It changes everything. And in terms of contribution, we are talking about very high contribution to the methane emissions. So 20% of the globe methane emissions come from waste, and 80% meanwhile are living in lower threshold than acceptable air quality. All those are things that clearly tell us why should waste be majorly a big topic on climate action, why should it be handled in COP, and why are we addressing it today? So are companies reacting to it? Absolutely. What you see here is a list of different companies that have put targets, launched initiatives, tried their best to change the way they are doing business and change their business model, invest and do a lot of things. However, what's the most common thing amongst them? There is no one standard. Each one is working on the problem from their own angle. Each one is trying to create an initiative which is very good, but in isolation of the rest. And what do we need? We need a unified standard to make sure everybody's going under a single framework. Why? Because under a single framework, we are able to multiply the effect over and over and over. And that's how we can create a positive impact. So what are we trying to achieve from the VRC? First thing is, as mentioned, we want to create a unified global standard. That will be a first. And a place like COP is where those things should be agreed and pushed forward. The second thing is we're not going to create a solution that only works in one country or in one city. We're trying to create a solution that works globally. And when it's global, and that's the challenge we're trying to face, or we're trying to, proactively face, is to say, I need to understand what country X needs, what country Y needs. In some places, we need to incentivize a certain stakeholder, and some others we don't. So we're looking at it from a global angle. We're looking at combining the digital world with sustainability. If you don't measure it, you abuse it, or if you over measure it, you also abuse it, right? So if you do double counting, if you don't have transparency, blockchain, will solve that. And this is very important. We're trying to get early stage governmental backing to push the topic of EPR, Extended Producer Responsibility. And here I want to pause to tell you one important thing. This initiative is not to replace the Extended Producer Responsibility. This initiative is actually to accelerate and fuel the move towards EPR. So the end goal is to have EPR everywhere in the world, because we all know and we've seen the high correlation between EPR and recycling. The issue is most of the countries that do not have EPR have a problem accelerating the recycling. Why? Because you have to set up a whole scheme, a whole system. You have to have the processes, you have to have the funding, you have to have the transparency, the stakeholders. They all should come together, and only then you can consider EPR working. While with VRC, two entities that are in alignment, as you will see shortly, will be able to make it. And then, finally, standardized process covering multiple recyclables. You will see a lot of things related to plastics today, and you heard it in the previous panels. Plastic is always at the front end, but what about all the other recyclables? We also need similar standards and similar attention. And with that, maybe I will invite our partner, Pierre Samatis, to tell you more about how the transaction will be done.
Thank you, Hani. Thank you so much. It's a very exciting day for us because, as mentioned initially by Carlos, we've been announcing this concept in May earlier in Paris, and we've been working relentlessly with our partners on getting the technical part of the solution done. So before I'm going to go to the very exciting stuff of really showing you the solution, let me give you a few thoughts on the tech part of it, because the tech part of it is equally important here. So we're going to use blockchain to facilitate the entire transaction, and later on we're going to hear from our tech partners DFINITY on why the DFINITY system, Internet Computer Protocol, is actually absolutely made for this use case. Second is we're going to use AI and IoT in the verification process of auditing the actual waste collection and the actual recycling process. And what I'm going to show you in a few minutes is basically the platform that has been developed. And the platform, like a normal exchange, has two major parties. We're going to have the recycling company and we're going to have offsetters. Both can log onto the platform and do a transaction on an actual recycling credit that stands for 1 ton of recycled goods. We have a roadmap for this, as announced in Paris. Today is the first day where we're going to show you live the transaction, but then the fun begins, so to say, because then the journey really starts on scaling the system towards many countries and towards many participants. And with that, we're going to go into the platform, and I would love to invite Dominic Williams from DFINITY on stage.
Thanks, Pierre. Hi, everybody. I'm Dominic Williams. I'm the founder and chief scientist of the DFINITY Foundation. I'm very proud to have worked with Roland Berger, Beeah, and ISWA on the VRC Recycling Credits Exchange that you will see here today that runs on the Internet Computer. The DFINITY Foundation is a Swiss not-for-profit that has contributed more than 1,000 person-years of R&D to the Internet Computer. The Internet Computer is a public compute platform that's created by a public network where you can create online services from a new kind of borderless software that cannot be hacked and cannot be stopped. So the VRC Recycling Credits Exchange runs transparently on the Internet Computer in such a way that its logic can only be updated through a digital governance system by a consortium. And this transparency will bring trust to recycling credits. Trust in the recycling credits will bring liquidity, and this will drive greater waste recycling. So, yeah, thank you, everyone, and I'm back.
Thank you. Great, you can keep that. Thank you so much, Dom. And I'm going to show you in a bit more detail where the traits of the Internet Computer Protocol are actually coming in when we see the transactions. So let's dive into it. So first of all, we're going to log in as the recycler. So as you can see, there are two roles, a recycler and an offsetter. We're going to log in as the recycler. And by the way, the entire application is built on blockchain, which means it's absolutely immutable and everything is in one infrastructure ecosystem. So we're greeted first with the registry view, And as you can see, the system is blank, so no transaction has happened as of now. This will change in a few seconds. You have a registry view where you can see all of the actions and transactions that have been taking place on the platform. And the beautiful thing about it, it is accessible for everyone. Even if you're not a recycler or an offsetter, you can see what has been transacted on the platform, which makes it 100% transparent and trustable. So we're now going to go to the credits part, and I'm a recycler, and I'm going to request to issue a credit on my behalf. So I recycled a ton of material. I'm going to request a credit, and in the request for credit interface, I can select most of the relevant topics that are relevant for the credit. What underlying is it? Where has it been collected? How has it been collected? What's the quantity? And in particular, also, what was the method? And now comes another beautiful thing. You can see here that I can upload documents. I can upload documents that could either be pictures, videos, or other certificates. And these documents, unlike with other blockchains, are stored on the blockchain. So they're not stored on any other server, which would give you a vulnerability. Everything is stored in the VRC system itself. The other important thing is to also cater for waste collectors in the system. So what you can also do, as soon as you request a credit, as a recycling company, you can also let the waste collector, the waste pickers, participate on that, and you can agree on a profit-sharing mechanism depending on your business model and depending on the jurisdiction that you're operating in. So let's select a few trades for the credit. And after everything has been selected, we're going to submit the credit. And what's going to happen now is basically the request is going to be saved live on the blockchain. And it says ongoing audit, because there needs to be an audit process as well. And this audit process will be in parts supported by technology like AI and IoT, but also in parts from real auditors verifying that this ton of PET or this ton of steel really has been recycled. Once that is done, you get a notification that the credit has successfully been issued. And now the status changes from in audit to issued. Now I can list this credit on the exchange platform. And we're going to do this now. So 10 tons are available. And now I'm going to view the credit and I'm going to list it. As you can see, I can select how many credits I want to list. I can set the price per ton, and then I'm going to list the credit on the marketplace. If I go back to the registry now, which is, if you remember, the public interface where you can see all of the transactions and actions that happened, I can see that this credit that I just issued has been listed on the marketplace for everyone to see. Now we're going to switch the sides. Now I'm going to log out as the recycling company, and I'm going to log in as the offsetting company. Once the offsetter view comes, I'm again greeted with the same transparent registry where I can see what has happened on the platform so far. And all of this has a transaction ID. And with that transaction ID, anyone in the world will be able to trace and track what has been done. So I'm now going to go into the credit page because I want to buy a credit. I want to offset at least part of my recycling balance. So I'm going to go to the markets. I see there's one credit listed, the credit that we just listed. 10 tons are available. I'm going to buy the credit now. I'm going to select the quantity. And once I buy it, the transaction action happens again on the blockchain, which means the credit changes the wallet address that it belongs to for the amount that has been paid. And now you can see that in my credits page, I have 10 tons of credits. Now the next thing is you want to offset them because you want to actually offset your annual balance of recycling. So I'm going to click on View and Offset, which gives me the view of the credit itself. And here I'm going to select how many tons I want to offset now based on the credits that I bought. The offsetting will take place again, completely on chain. And now comes a very beautiful part. automatically for every credit that has been bought, there's going to be a certificate that can be used for audit purposes. This certificate is automatically generated. It has a transaction ID, again, that you can easily check and verify, and it certifies that I have just offsetted 10 tons of recycling credits. I'm going back to my overview, and the beautiful thing here is as well, now I've offsetted the 10 tons, and I can also see that my target has moved. So automatically the system will keep track of your recycling target that you have, and also will show you where you stand. The registry shows now all of this for everyone to see. And the first transaction now has happened. I can click on the transaction ID if I don't trust the system. And the beautiful thing now is in each transaction, I have the details to even see which are the credits that have been associated with this specific transactions. And if I click on one of them, I'm greeted with the entire overview of the details of the credit. And now coming back to the great point why we did this on the Internet Computer Protocol is because I will be able to store all of these informations related to the credit on chain. I can have video proof that this specific credit has been actually recycled. I can have documents and whatever else is needed in terms of material. Now back to the registry, and as you can see, the registry also now updated. $1,000 of value have been transacted, 10 numbers of credits have been exchanged. So that's the beautiful transaction that you've just witnessed. So the first ever demo transaction of the VRC system was now live. And Hani, I would love to get you back on stage.
Thank you, Pierre. Indeed, a great milestone for VRC. And now comes the call for action. We are looking for everyone to participate. VRC is not for one company, it's not for one type of company, it's for everybody. So for traders, for recyclers, for governments, for everyone, we need your support, we need the action, because this year we're going to go with 3 material, as you saw on the pilot here. We're going to expand on those 3 materials and go global. The years that follow, we will make sure to go into every single country. That's what we need. And with that, maybe I would like to invite a special guest, His Excellency, the National Secretary for the Ministry of Environment of Brazil, Mr. Adalberto Maluf.
Well, thank you for the invitation. For us, it's a great pleasure to be here representing the Minister of Environment and Climate Change from Brazil. Waste management is one of the top priorities for our president. When President Lula invited Marina to be minister for her 3rd time, it was the only thing he asked her. Please put the Waste Speakers Association, the Waste Speakers, at the heart of the minister. Bring social inclusion to these more than 1 million waste speakers that Brazil have, and try to find a solution for our cities which still don't have a great waste management system. Brazil is the 5th largest producer of waste. We know that especially the Amazon region, where we still don't have official landfills, a lot of them have illegal dumps. It's one of the places that are throwing up plastic to the ocean at the biggest proportion. So we all met during INC2 in Paris in the negotiations of the treaty to end plastic pollution. But we know that waste management has a much larger impact on the life of people in the normal days. So as we move in Brazil, and this year we are just finishing a new presidential decree fighting pollution for plastic. We are aiming, with the support of our partners here, to prepare COP30 in Brazil, in Belém, to be also a COP without plastic. We are all working to increase the numbers of recycling in Brazil. We are going to move from voluntary agreements that we have at different actions of our EPR system, the extended product responsibility we call reverse logistics systems, and we're going to make them mandatory with bills and decrees, making all the companies to have to fulfill increasing targets for recycling content in new productions, recycling increase for all the areas of the country. So a platform like this is exactly what we have all been searching for, to guarantee the verification and of the credits of recycling, to make sure that the waste that comes from the waste picker that goes through the industry is recycled and later used by the industry again to be back to society. So we have to move from a linear economy based on single-use products to a circular economy with more renewable energy that can circulate goods, reuse, and recycle, and have a proper destination. So we are very happy to be part of this. We hope we can expand it so that when we all arrive in Brazil during COP30 in 2 years, this platform will be a global scheme for all of us to really move to such a difficult challenge that all of us have to bring the world to the mission of maximum 1.5 degree increase in the temperature so that we can all continue living in this country, in this world, at a better way. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I believe with that, and we made it within 12 seconds, so almost there. So thank you everyone for attending. Looking forward to telling you more and more about this as we progress. So if I may invite everybody for a quick photo, just for the sake of history.
Congratulations, everyone.